Well, as we mentioned earlier, Mountain Dew is in a mountain of trouble because of a new and highly controversial commercial.
Now, here to break down the media firestorm is Monique Nelson, chairman and CEO of the advertising and marketing firm UNI-World, and Jermaine Hall, editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Now, before we even get started, do they do this on purpose?
Of course
do
they
they
do.
want us to talk about Mountain Dew, so they go out and create the most incendiary, controversial ad, so we'll sit here and dedicate 15 minutes of our lives talking about them?
Absolutely.
Really?
Sure, we're talking about it.
So there's a budget dedicated to that? Like you put all this money into making a commercial to get a pull?
Isn't that risky? Because people could like boycott it and be so up in arms.
Well, listen, here's the deal, right? Ultimately, Mountain Dew has always been an edgy brand, right? They knew who Tyler was when they hired him to do the commercial. Now, ultimately, what happens after the fact is approvals, many of them, and ultimately somebody put a media plan together and put it on air.
Now, we'll get to that because I do want to talk about what sorts of checks and balances exist at these places. But for people who don't know who Tyler, the Creator, is, tell me who he is, Jermaine, and break down his music because, you know, one of the young girls on my staff, Amber, she told me about the song Yonkers, and apparently it's a huge hit, more than 58 million views on YouTube alone. This kid's a phenomenon.
No, absolutely. If you're getting into the Tyler, the Creator business, and more specifically the Odd Future business, like they push the envelope as far as they can. They're far from being politically correct. I mean, if you listen to Tyler's lyrics, like he talks about having sex with a pregnant woman and brags about having a threesome. Like he's very cheeky, but over the top. Cheeky.
Well, that's beyond cheeky. I mean, that's graphic sex. He talks a lot about drugs, pills.
But that's his business. That is the Tyler, the Creator business. And if you're gonna get him to be your pitchman, like you have to be willing to have to deal with that, especially if you're giving him creative control, some sort of creative control on a commercial. Like, yeah, things like this are gonna happen.
The Yonkers video even features a mock suicide at the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, let's think about it this way. So he's great friends with Frank, right?
Frank Ocean.
Frank Ocean.
Okay.
So Frank comes out and says that, you know, he had a relationship with a man. Tyler comes out and he says, hey, you know, I'm glad that Frank came out. You know, it's finally a burden off of his shoulder, but he's still gonna continue to drop F-bombs.
Right.
It's not gonna stop him from doing that.
So you think they wanted that controversial person to be the face of the Mountain Dew, and that's why they picked him?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like for them to expect anything else would not be realistic.
But why do these marketers go after someone like a Lil Wayne, a Tyler, the Creator, a Rick Ross, when they know that their music is far from PG? It's not even R. It's not even NC-17.
Right, no, it's breakthrough, right? We've got a lot of clutter. We've got a lot going on in the marketplace right now. There's a lot of lots of different conversations happening. All of a sudden, this bubbles to the top, right? It's been top of mind now for, what, 48 hours, and will continue to be.
Right.
And it's ultimately better for the brand to be in the forefront of the conversation, and at least now we're getting into why, how, what was Mountain Dew thinking, and ultimately, who are they going after? And that's the more important part of this.
I think that's a great point.
Older people don't get it.
But there are actually 3 commercials.
Yes.
So the third one is the latest one.
Yes.
Let's take a look at the first one, actually.
Great.
See that goat over there?
What?
That goat?
Goat? Mountain Dew?
I don't want it.
It's ice cold.
I don't want it.
Oh!
I don't want it. You get out of it.
You're a nasty goat!
Nasty.
Here!
Give it to me.
No!
Give me more. I want it.
Good ass man.
Wow, interesting. Now, you mean to tell me, not only is this, you know, these
Trying to be an objective journalist here, but Mountain Dew's making it hard.
Yeah, you mean some of these commercials are racist, they're misogynistic. You mean to tell me nobody looks at this from Mountain Dew and says, you know, maybe this isn't a good idea?
Sure, someone probably did, but ultimately someone said, we're going after a certain demographic. This is what they are listening to. This is what they're responding to. And ultimately, while you as, you know, the older person and all of us here are out of the demo, so to speak, someone came in and said, listen, we did this with him on purpose. We did this to reach his target. And that's what probably trumped all.
So watching a woman being beaten up by a goat reaches his target audience.
Yeah, I think
Who
that
is his target
like,
audience?
I think that
Jermaine?
the person that Mountain Dew is trying to reach is clearly Tyler's demo, and they are not as in tune as our generation might be when it comes to overt racism. You know, I think they are a lot. They're kind of out of that. It doesn't really affect them. Like when someone comes out and says that, you know, they're gay, it's not a hot button topic for them anymore. It's like, why are you guys even talking about this? Like, this isn't even a factor for us anymore.
Yeah, the blogs right now are talking more about is the racism around the goat being brown. You know, not necessarily the lineup.
Didn't even take it there.
You know,
so that's a whole nother level of this.
Again,
yeah.
So in your opinions, do you think they were successful?
That's what the blogs are talking
really?
about.
It's definitely a generational divide.
So were they successful in reaching that demographic?
I find that very hard to believe that an entire generation, Generation Y, what generation are we on right now?
We're talking millennials.
Generation Millennial. The millennials look at that ad and they don't see a problem with it at all? Really?
They're talking more about the goat being brown and whether or not they actually like the spot. I was reading much more about the commentary about, you know, just didn't really like the spot. Don't necessarily get the feeling that, you know, is being portrayed by, you know, those of us that do this for a living. My biggest problem with it is I just don't think the brand took care of themselves. I think it's much more about Tyler and his creation than it is about the Mountain Dew brand.
Right.
Wait,
So I think it's,
you don't have a problem with this ad?
Oh, I have a tremendous problem with the ad, but I do have I have more of a problem with the fact that the brand didn't stand up for the brand.
Okay.
You know, when I look at the spot, I wonder where does the Mountain Dew piece come into play?
Well, maybe the brand was just trying to reach that demographic. A lot more commercials nowadays are just putting on commercials, and at the very end, you have to look hard, like, what are they even promoting?
Right.
So, do you think they were successful in reaching that demographic you say that they were trying to reach?
I think they were. I think there's also a level of accountability that has to be put on management and the company. So a perfect example would be like if they did this with Eminem when he first came out and he was incredibly over the top. Like someone like a Paul Rosenberg would be looking far into the future and saying, hey, you know what? You know, I know my artist is really crazy, but Eminem is a phenomenon. So
Paul
look,
Rosenberg is Eminem's manager, right?
Yeah. So I'm not going to approve this. I'm not going to allow this to happen because, you know, again, even if it speaks to his character right now, it might affect me with corporations down the line.
Now, again, this was part of a trilogy, so let's take a look at this second commercial.
Oh my God. Oh my God, he's coming. Oh my God, he's coming.
License and registration,
I
please.
don't have anything in the truck. I know my rights. Oh no. Oh no.
All right. I'm gonna need to see what's in the trunk. Pop the trunk, please.
Oh no, don't go back there. Oh, don't go back there. Don't go back there.
Oh my gosh. Looks like we have ourselves a clear-cut case of DUI. Hey! Hey, get your bald ass back here. Nasty ass goat.
Okay.
Okay.
That one's a little fun.
I do have to say, DUI is kind of funny. It's kind of funny. DUI is kind of funny.
I was just afraid there was a white woman in the trunk. Like, no!
That would have taken it to a whole new level.
Another
We've
level.
been ready for that one.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we don't do serial killers.
No, that's very true.
that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But you know, is this controversy one of the consequences of not having a more diverse staff and a more diverse marketing and media world? And by diverse, I'm not only speaking about color, but youth. If there was someone in the room to raise their hand and say, listen, I listen to Tyler, the creator, and you may not want to get into bed with this man.
I mean, ultimately, you would want, you know, a number of different points of view, right? This would not be an ad that you would put in front of a copy tester or focus groups, right? They know going in, they're looking for something edgy, they're looking for something fresh, but certainly it would have behooved anyone on management to kind of say, this is pretty narrow, this is pretty niche. We're probably gonna offend more people than not. And again, that's why I said being a really strong steward of the brand is important. The agency is in place for that as well. But ultimately, that's a decision that ultimately has to be made by management to say, what are we really trying to accomplish? And clearly, all the way through, the PepsiCo, brand family, they, basically said, let's try it. And my ultimate thing is, if you're going to do it, defend it. Right. Somebody made a really strong case to get this on air. Right. And somebody should have either defended it. By pulling it, you all of a sudden know. People were a little uneasy. And so in that regard, if you're going to go hard.
Yeah, they went hard, and Jermaine, they definitely did that. Let me ask you this. Should it be a rule that companies like Mountain Dew should stay away from rappers promoting their brands? Like, for example, Lil Wayne, he just was in this controversy about Emmett Till. He was quoted in his song saying he wanted to beat up blank like Emmett Till. He was referring to a sex action. And Rick Ross, he also was referring to date rape in one of his songs and slipping someone to Molly as he was, like, encouraging it. So should these companies stay away from negative images like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's staying away from rappers. Like, I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that solves the problem. But again, maybe there should be more of a vetting process. When they go out and pitch their people. But also, I think when these mistakes are made, like, you really need strong management to get you to come out and apologize for necessary. Like, speaking specifically to the Rick Ross situation, if he would have came out a lot sooner and apologized right away, and it wasn't, a half apology, a kind of somewhat of apology, maybe he would have still had that Reebok deal. I think Lil Wayne finally coming out and apologizing to Emmett Till's family, it's late, but I'm happy that he's finally done that.
Okay.
Let's talk about the consequences here. Now, it sounds like you think it was worth the gamble for Mountain Dew. Am I putting words in your mouth, or?
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little,
I mean,
okay.
I think it would have been better for Mountain Dew, if I'm going to play devil's advocate, to defend it. Listen, this was a market we wanted to go after. We hired Tyler, right? He got his check. He got paid for the work, and we stand by this. Now, whether or not it deserved to be put where it was is very different. I can't get into the media plan and what the strategies were behind it, but there was a lot of thought and money, put behind this effort.
How much do you think something like this costs Mountain Dew?
I mean,
you had to guess.
I would say at least $1 million in production.
Wow. At least $1 million in production?
Yeah.
And how much do you think they paid Tyler, the Creator?
I would not even. I
Just
wouldn't
guess,
even dare.
a rough estimate. A rough estimate.
Oh.
$250,000?
Could be. I mean, again, there's so many different deals cut these days. You have no idea if he's got rev share deals. You don't know what kind of residuals are involved. So I wouldn't want to go there.
But at least $100,000.
But I mean, these are 3 spots.
Right.
These are 3 television spots, and an average spot can cost anywhere from $350,000 to $500,000, sometimes more, depending on what production.
But I do have trouble believing that Tyler, the Creator, was the sole ad agency behind this.
Because it seems like they're making him take all the blame for it. Mountain Dew's not even speaking up. Oh, that's Tyler, the Creator's.
Well, I mean, a lot of brands are allowing for artists. You see Jay-Z doing it. You're seeing Beyonce doing it. These guys have total creative control, and that's part of their deal.
Are you familiar with the firm that was behind this?
No, I'm not.
No? It seems like it's a secret out there. A lot of people are trying to find out who,
and
but
Pepsi has a lot of firms, so I wouldn't even dare.
Was it UNI-World?
It was not UNI-World. No.
Never. Okay, well, before we go a little further, I just
Would you tell us if it was?
Never.
I
would just lie.
Right, it wasn't us. I'm appalled. Cash that check. All right, before we go too far, we have one more installments of this commercial.
Should
so
we
let's
watch
take a look.
that third video again?
Yes.
We should?
We should.
This is
All right, man, we got them all lined up. Nail this little sucker. Come on, which one is he? Point to him.
It's me. You should have gave me some more. I'm nasty.
I don't think I can do this.
It's easy. Just point to him.
You better not snitch on a player.
No.
He's wearing the do-rag.
Snitches get stitches, fool.
Come on, it's the one with the 4 legs.
You thought you was gonna catch me? Keep your mouth shut.
No.
Keep your mouth shut.
No.
I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna do you up. Keep your mouth shut.
I can't do this. I can't do this. No. 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 No.
She's just got to do it.
never gonna catch me.
Wow. Now, that was the first commercial that kicked off this whole, controversy behind Lola's like, I can't believe it. Every time she sees it, it's like, really?
I watched it so many times last night, and I'm still thinking to myself, how could this have happened?
How could they let that fly? I mean, even if they would have just mixed up the line, it would have been a diverse group of people standing up there. It would have been better.
Lots of things could have happened to rectify this particular thing. You could have had a line of goats. You could have had, a nice mixed cast. You do see the black cop kind of in the background behind, but it's not, you still have kind of the white woman, the white cop, the, black guy in the shadows. There's a lot of things that could have been done differently from an execution standpoint if this was really where you wanted to go and you didn't want to have that kind of homogeneous look. But then I think about Tyler and I go, was he trying to make that statement about, black men always being in a lineup? Is that also the reverse psychology happening here as well? So,
Smart, Jermaine.
When I see this creative, only thing I can think of is this is 100% a Tyler the Creator production. Like this is everything that he stands for. This is 100% his creative vision. I would think, and with this, they've created an amazing viral conversation right now, which again I'm not defending the commercial. I'm not defending the creative either, but in terms of being successful and creating a conversation, like they've definitely done that.
So it's a win for Mountain Dew, but is it a win for Tyler the Creator?
Oh, this doesn't affect his demographic at all. Like his fans, as far as his fans, this is exactly what they expect from him.
Well, what about all the
100%.
other people that are offended? You think the black community is just too sensitive, or they not?
Not only are those people not buying Tyler the Creator product or Odd Future, but they're not attending the shows.
So who is his primary audience then? Young white boys?
I would say 18 to 34, even younger, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but more people than that are seeing it and are offended by it. So should they just listen up, or should they just take it as a joke? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, but that's something that has to be a corporate stewardship.
But regardless if they're drinking it, the fact that they're allowed to offend so many people and just put out these blatant racist commercials is the question.
Now, it could affect PepsiCo on a much larger level, and I mean, and that's real. And as a bigger brand and as a holding company of many brands, this is probably something that they're going to have to take stock in, because it can affect other parts of your business. For Mountain Dew in particular, it remains to be seen.
Okay, well, how can brands avoid making mistakes like this? You had the same situation with Mary J. Blige eating the chicken in Burger King commercial. Canadian GM, they came out with a commercial that offended Asians with a song. And then Volkswagen featured a white man with a Jamaican accent. It was aired in the Super Bowl, and there was a big controversy. But if they didn't have diversity in the commercials, even though it may be wrong, people may still complain and say, there's no black people in there.
Well, the first thing you do is you hire UNI-World Group. That's
what
first and foremost, hire a culturally relevant advertising agency.
Right.
So these controversies are good for your business, aren't
yes,
they?
They should be, because you should be having the right conversation.
All right.
And you have to make sure that the right questions are being asked and that the right people are involved in the conversation. And what I see is total control to an entity that doesn't have your business's best interests at heart is always dangerous.
Right, and I think you bring up a really good point. I'm glad you brought up Mary, by the way, because with the Mary situation, like, she should have known better. It was completely off-brand for her, where with this Tyler Creator, it's completely on brand. So I think Mary's situation is a little bit different.
And that was an interesting scenario with that particular agency not understanding. They happened to be from London.
Oh, so they didn't even know.
That agency came to America, did not know the sensitivity of black people in fried chicken.
Everybody know black people like fried chicken. Finger licking great. We all know that. That's not out.
But that's what they claim.
Okay.
We could talk about this for an hour, but they're telling us we've got to wrap. But please come back next time someone does something this controversial again.
Yes.
You guys are fantastic.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for being here.
And we want to know what you think about the commercials, so tweet us at AriseTV360.